Hey, in today's crazy world, sometimes you just need to go outside and touch grass. Let's do that, shall we? Hi, everybody, and welcome back to After Further Review. It's the show with angry old guys talking about horses that run fast and the people who bet on them. I'm Jim Watson. You know the Professor Pete Weitzner, and the other guy in his man cave in the desert, that's Tommy Kaplan. All right, with that, we're off to the races. We're doing the Grade 1 Arlington Million. Getting a late start on this one, but we wanted to get it in. It's one of North America's premier turf races. It was first run in 1981 back at the old Arlington Park in Chicagoland. Pete, I believe that was before the insurance fire. And for the last 5 years, they moved it down to Colonial Downs in Virginia.
The successful
first race
fire.
Ever. The successful fire. It was in Chicago. Who would have thought? It's the first race ever to offer $1 million purse. First one ever to do that. Mile and a quarter, I believe, on the grass. 3-year-olds and up. And this might be the best field of entries since they moved it to Virginia. So we're talking the last 5 years. But if you go back to the beginning of this race, it started in 1981. And the first one was maybe the best one because it ended up with a legendary winner in the very first Arlington Million. Who was it, Pete?
So it's John Henry, who, of course, then goes on to win it again 3 years later in his, he retired, I think, at 10. But you're right. Dick Duchessois, who owned Arlington then, was a great horseman, did everything for the horseman, for the horse player. So he does this race. It gets international horses to come over in 1981. This is before even the Breeders' Cup, which was 1984. And what
let's
an
listen
inaugural.
to the call.
You're gonna see,
Can we hear the call here, Pete? Let's hear the call.
John Henry in the shadow roll on the outside.
John Henry on the outside, the Burt down along the rail, Madame Gay. The Burt digs in under the whip, and the final move by John Henry. The Burt is still there. Can't split him, but Burt, or is it John Henry on the outside? We know Madame Gay was third. Awfully close. The Burt clinging tenaciously along the rail. John Henry running strongly on the outside. This one can go either way.
It could go either way. So I've watched that thing so many times, and I have no idea how John Henry got there, but when you go frame by frame by frame, there's a moment where his nose is in front, and maybe that's it. Although that camera isn't on the finish line directly, but he's in front right there. And not only is it two great horses, the Bart on the inside and John Henry on the outside, you're talking about two unbelievable, legendary jockeys, Willie Shoemaker on John Henry, and the great Raging Cajun, Eddie Delahousie on the inside. And Eddie was young in those days. You know, I came to racing, and he was already in his 40s. And he was interviewed after the race because they thought he had won. And you mentioned it, Pete, how gracious he was. And he and Shoe talked to each other as they galloped out into the corner, and they said, "What do you think? Was it you? Was it me?" And they said they didn't know either.
It was the Bart was 40-1. And it's so unusual to see Delahousie on the lead because that was his big thing, right? Eddie, we called him the head waiter. And he's the one, as Rosario almost broke your heart on Saturday in the Bing Crosby. Delahousie was the one to break your heart with his great closes. But here he was on the lead at 40-1, and John Henry, as he seemed to always do. Great to hear Phil Georgieff, the late track announcer at Arlington. His big line was, "Here they come, spinning out of the turn." What a great inaugural race, and how cool they've kept this race going. They had the fire. They rebuilt Arlington. Illinois racing is about done now. I see the other day they sold off Hawthorne. But they've kept this race, and pretty good undercard. The Secretariat, which is 3-year-olds. Beverly D, which is for girls on turf. Good purses. All those races will now be, as we'll discuss, at Colonial Downs in New Kent, Virginia. And same owner, Churchill Downs, ultimately bought Arlington, has this track, but they've kept it going. This was the predecessor in a way to the Breeders' Cup, having this $1 million race, and Dick Duchessois did it, and so glad you're keeping it going. We got a great renewal coming up on Saturday.
And that was the very first Arlington Million, 1981, John Henry with it. And now the tradition carries on, so let's spin the dial forward and talk about this year's race. And Pete, you came to us and said, I want to do the Arlington Million. That's why we threw the show together at the last minute, because the field is just so good. So let's go through it. Let's break it down. This year's Arlington Million, and we'll go in post position. So we'll start with the one horse, Dresden Row. 7-2, puts him second on the morning line. Todd Pletcher, Tyler Gaffleone, 5-year-old, sired by Lord Nelson. And he's just an owner's dream. Pete, this horse is 19 for 19 in the money, including 8 wins. And a win here shoves him well above the $1 million mark. 3-time stakes winners, all grade 3s, but he didn't win any of them this year. 2025 Autumn Stakes, the 2024 Ontario Derby, and the Durham Cup. So he's coming off a 3rd place finish in the grade 2 Wise Dan. That was at Churchill. That broke a 3-race winning streak for this horse. But this is going to be his first start at a grade 1. Is he ready to take on the big dogs?
Well, he gets the acid test on Saturday, and he loses Irad Ortiz to Tyler Gaffleone. Very good jockey. I like Tyler on grass, but he had Irad the last 2 times, as you mentioned, and he was well bet the last 2 times. It's very similar to Silent Tactic, the story, right, on this horse. He's the son of Lord Nelson, who I think stands for 10,000, and they paid $575 at auction. So this mare, El Special, I looked her up. She's quite a producer. And like you say, this is an owner's dream. Thereabouts. So here in her last race, and this was interesting because it's at Churchill, and Laganos, who's now won 5 in a row, wins it, gets passed for second by Mercanti, who's in this race. But it was the Churchill grass course was a bog that day. It's the same day as the Stephen Foster. You don't want to be inside on that grass course. It drains to the inside. Can this horse win a grade 1? Can this horse win at a 1.25 miles? Not especially being out of Lord Nelson, especially bred for it. But this is a hard horse to get past. 19 for 19 in the money. Let's see if it's a grade 1. It can be a grade 1 winner.
Yeah, when I watched that race, we just rolled it in. I just loved that grit and that grind. He was inside where it was heavy, found a better lane, kept coming, and eventually got past and ended up 3rd. But this is the kind of thing where when I see something extra in a horse, and then you can try to project it. What if he gets an easier trip? What if the track's in a little better shape? Well, then it's better for everybody. So I don't know. I like this horse. I'm probably going to use him. We'll talk about the picks at the end. Yeah. To me, it's just a push-button horse. He's always in the money. He's never been seriously injured. And twice in his career, he's put together 3-race winning streaks. You mentioned the latest was just ended in that race, the Dan Wise, or the Wise Dan at Churchill Down. That was at the end of June. All right, let's move on to the 2-horse. Longest shot in the field here. Layabout. This is what my dad used to call me as a kid. 20-1. Patrick Biancone and Keith Asmussen. The connections here. 4-year-old gelding. Didn't race as a baby. He does have a couple of stakes wins, including the grade 3 William McKnight. That was back in January down here in Florida at Gulfstream. But he's missed the board in his last 2 starts. Now, Layabout began the year with a 5-race winning streak, or at least 5 wins since last May. But now he's regressed, Pete. Anything you see that's wrong with him, and is there time to tweak it?
Well, the waters have gotten deeper for this horse, and they're certainly deep on Saturday. He's never beaten grade 1 company. By the way, this was a grade 3, the William McKnight, and very impressive. It is hard to run on the lead. He was also pressured. I don't know if I'm going to watch the whole race. He was also pressured, and then he pulled away. So this is when he reeled off that winning streak. Now, his only bad race, next race is another stakes he went off. He was favored and ran 3rd. His only bad race was the last one, but he was up on heels, is the Daily Racing Form comment, on the first turn, and then he faded. There is an angle. You throw that race out, it could be a throw out. He's going to have the lead. So he will have the lead. Patrick Biancone's had a little bit of a late life resurgence. He's trained for over 40 years. He's had some really good horses. This might be one of the best years he's had, it is, in a while. So there are some angles. Basically, it's a pace play. Keith Asmussen rides. By the way, he's engaged to Biancone's daughter, Andy. Draws. So another angle maybe there. It's a pace play. But even on his best, even the race we watched, doesn't have the numbers, doesn't have the speed figures to run with these. This is a really good field, Jim, Tommy. 5 or 6 earners of $2 million thereabouts. That's pretty good.
God, it's amazing. You could watch 5 other podcasts like this talking about the Arlington Million. Nobody's going to have dating news from the backside like Peter does, and that's why if you're going to spell analyst, you got to start ANAL because you go deep on it.
I was
So
gonna say,
that's just me.
and you
All
just
right,
said dating
sorry.
news.
I'm
Dating
sorry.
news from the
We'll take that out
backside.
in post. We'll take it out in post.
What
All
does
right.
the phrase
But
dating news
two
on
things
the
about that
backside
race.
mean? Dating news in the backside?
And of course that brings Tommy out, of course, in the bushes. Two things about
By
that
the way,
race.
Andy Biancone, so she's one of the, the trackside paddock reporters. She's been up on horses since she was probably old enough to walk, with Patrick being her father, and she's universally loved by us horse players. Knows her stuff. Super pleasant on the air. Good for Keith Asmussen taking her off the market.
So that race was a 3-turn race at Gulfstream, which is pretty
Yes.
interesting. It's like watching a track and field, mile. The way they circled it, one more lap to go, bell lap, and that kind of thing. Also, they put up really fast early fractions, and he still held on to win at 6-1. So that's what kind of caught my interest. So if you're looking for a value play underneath, I don't know, that's the seed I put in the ground to see if it'll grow anything. But I was kind of impressed with that part of it. All right, let's move on to the 3-horse. Fort Washington, 5-1. Shug McGahee and Javier Castellano. Fort Washington is the defending champion in this race, the Arlington Million, from 2025. Trying to shake off a 7th in that Wise Dan Stakes that we just saw. That was last time out. Trying to regain that Grade 1 form at the age of 7. But 2 races back, he won the Grade 3 dinner party for the 2nd year in a row. So he's still got something. Pete, 6-time stakes winner with Hall of Fame trainer. Can the Fort defend his Arlington title from last year?
I don't think so. He's gonna have to pass. He's gonna have to pass, and here he is winning it last year. This is a tougher field. That didn't have Burnham Square.
This is Junior Alvarado aboard last year, Pete, who just gave him a great ride. He was last from the get-go until it was time to go, and then he passes 6 horses in the stretch and wins in a driving finish.
So, and I love Junior Alvarado, just a terrific jockey. Rides sovereignties, kind of the go-to for Bill Mott. He beat Integration, who Shug also trains in that race last year, but he didn't have to face Burnham Square. He didn't have to face Test Score, and he didn't have to face another horse that I really like. And he's going to have to pass them all. That's tough to pass that many good Grade 1 horses. He's now 7. I'm also going to take a little bit of a bet that maybe he's just a tad over the top.
So the thing I like about this horse, Pete, is he runs anywhere and he wins at most of his tracks. He's 7. He's raced at 13 different tracks, and he's won at 7 of them, including Colonial Downs, where this race is held. So, again, just a little something. You mentioned Integration. That's a perfect segue to our next horse, the 4 Integration at 4-1. Again, Shug McGahee and Johnny Velasquez, 6-year-old, home track advantage, has won multiple times at the other CD, Colonial Downs. Another returnee from last year's Arlington Million when he ran 3rd. He's won 3 graded races, including a couple of Grade 2s, but he hasn't won any graded races since 2024. So this will be his 2nd straight Grade 1. Integration was only 5th in the Manhattan Stakes, but he was a green flash at the finish line when you watch the race. If he had gone earlier, he might have gone by everybody.
So that race went in track record time. They smashed the track record at Saratoga for 1 mile and 3/16. I want to say by almost a full second. And he was coming. He lost by less than 2 lengths to Deterministic, and Deterministic is now
look at
the
him all the way to your
#1
left.
rated. Yes.
He's out of it. He's last in mid-stretch. And watch this close, Pete. This is the green flash I was talking about. Look at this horse passing people. And you just figure if he had another furlong, what happens?
He's flying. They went the interior fractions, and somehow Deterministic held on. The interior fractions were lightning, and he almost gets here. He closes every time. He hasn't won a Grade 1, but I believe he lost by a head or a nose in the Grade 1 Manhattan last year. He can win this race. He's 4-1 on the morning line. no reason that he can't get his first grade one on Saturday.
And here's the thing I like about integration. Again, I like horses that are consistent, that pay for themselves. This guy has paid for his own oats, 6 career wins, and top 3 finishes 73% of the time. He's in the top 3. So to me, it's almost a safe bet. He's going to give you your money's worth. He's going to get calls. He's going to be in it. Driving down the lane, you got a chance.
And John Velasquez rides him. I think this is the 6th straight time. That's always an encouraging angle, that he stays with this horse. Johnny,
Stays
of course,
with him.
Mentioned his Hall of Fame. Tough. I wouldn't say tough to go by this horse, because there's a few other really good ones. He's going to be there.
All right, let's move on to the favorite in the race, the 5 horse. You mentioned him already, Burnham Square, 5-2 on the morning line. This is the horse to beat Ian Wilkes, Brian Hernandez, looking for his 2nd Grade 1 win. He won the Bluegrass, but that was on dirt at Keeneland, and it was last year. But that just proves the point. He's fast, he's versatile, he's won on grass, he's won on dirt. He hasn't raced on dirt since his 5th place finish at the Haskell, a race we talked about. 4-year-old gelding. Coming in hot, though. 3 consecutive turf stake race wins. Last time out, a 1-9 grandstand darling in the Chorleywood at Churchill, but he still had a rally to win and hold off a long shot. But 2 races back, Pete, and this is the one I looked at, just a dominating romp as a 1-5 walkover in the Louisville Stakes.
Well, in the Louisville, is this the one where he wins by, it might have been the one before, where he wins by 9 lengths, which never happens on turf.
Oh, yeah, he just runs away from him right here.
Yes.
Look, this is where he separates right here. Just leaves them all behind.
Right?
Yeah.
He wins this one by 5. This is powerful. He was that rare Grade 1 winner on dirt, like you said, in the Bluegrass. But if you looked at the bloodlines, it looked like he might be, with the Scat Daddy mare, he might be even better on grass. And he has been. Having said that, there's a ton of wise guys out there, I'll tell you, already cannot wait to fade Burnham Square. Why? Because he's kind of beaten up. Not, grade 2, Grade 3, that's fine. All right, now it's time to run in a Grade 1. But even in that Grade 2 in the Elkhorn, Navy SEAL, who's not even a really accomplished Grade 2 horse out here in Southern California, well, he ran 3rd in that race. So that was a weak rendition of the Elkhorn. Nonetheless, he ran a 107 Beyer. That's far and away the fastest turf horse in the country this year. But the acid test comes on Saturday. Ian Wilkes, a good longtime trainer, trained the Breeders' Cup Classic winner, Fort Larned. But this is the first time he's had a really good distance turf horse. Not knocking Ian Wilkes, but there's a lot of skeptics out there. He's not McGahee, right? Or Pletcher. So a lot of people waiting to fade a horse that will probably be, I'd say 8-5, 9-5.
Yeah, I'm not waiting. I'm fading him now. Again, you know I love to take down big favorites. It's kind of my signature now. We got rid of Abashiri in the Belmont Derby. Remember that? We tossed Further Ado in the Haskell.
Yes.
We're right on both of those. So I always like to tell bettors, hey, I may not pick the winner, but I'm going to tell you where you can make money. I'm going to get rid of that chalky favorite for you and ease up your ticket a little bit. I'll tell you one thing I noticed about Burnham Square, Pete, and I don't know if it has any factor. The last 3 races that he's won, he started in the 1 hole. He was on the rail in all 3 of those. So I went into it, I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe he's getting an easy start. He's saving ground. Well, the last race, he went to the front, but the 2 races back, he went right to the back. So
yes,
maybe it doesn't hold water, but I did notice that. So, all right, and of course in the Arlington, he's right in the middle of the gate. All right, here's the horse I've been looking at since late last night, and the more I look, the more I like. The 6 horse, Test Score, 9-2, which makes him the 3rd favorite on the morning line. Graham Motion, Manny Franco, 4-year-old colt coming in strong form. Test Score, well tested, having won twice in Grade 1s, the Pegasus World Cup this year, and last year in the Belmont Derby. And he's well traveled, having raced from Del Mar to Keeneland to Gulfstream. Pete, Test Score has 4 stakes wins and just ran a 126. Why is this horse only the 3rd choice in this race?
If you look at it, Jim, last 3 races, which they were all Grade 1s, but they don't really bet him, right? And what does he do? He just runs big races. Now you throw out, he ran in the Turf Classic, at Churchill that was won by Rhetorical, and he had a bad race, but it was his first race back, a 4-month layoff. So what does he do? Then they sent him off at 15-1, and as we mentioned, the deterministic race, he almost gets there. So we saw, of course, Integration flying, but this horse almost got there, ran second. Manny Franco having a great year. This side of Jose Ortiz, I'd say Manny Franco is, of course, you have Irad and Pratt, but somewhat unexpected that Manny Franco would be having this big a year. So he's riding him. Hard for me to split Integration and Test Score because they run the same way, mid-pack and close, and I'm kind of giving away where I'm going to lean. I just don't, again, see a lot of pace in this race. Not as important in grass racing. And Colonial Downs, I will say, is a very fair turf course. Very fair. Maybe even a little better for closers. Big, long stretch, too. I just see Integration and Test Score, both very good horses. This one's got over $2 million in the bank. What's he run out of the money? Twice in 15 starts. Hard to knock him, but you can't play them all. And I don't know that the pace of this race will set it up for Test Score.
Okay, that's fair enough. I love that ride by Manny Franco. Splitting horses, he gets by Rhetorical. He just didn't have enough time to get to the front, but I thought it was a great ride. I see that horse as a major threat. The 7 horse, Mercante, 12-1. Brian Kippenberg and Florent Giroux. 6-year-old gelding,
correct,
sired by Gun Runner. Right, Mercante won a couple of grade 3s last year, including the Arlington Stakes at Churchill Downs. But that was his last victory. So that's 7 races without taking his picture. He was second in the Kentucky Cup Classic, and last time out ran second in the Wise Dan at 15-1 behind Laganos. We already saw that race. I don't know. To me, Mercante is really good, but maybe not great.
That's exactly right. He could fill out your superfecta. There was a time last year he was on the verge of being a grade 1 horse. Now he's a grade 2, maybe grade 1 purse nibbler. Now this is a good race. Gets a little bit of benefit from being outside of the rail horse that we really like, Dresden Row, and bobs him. Beats Dresden Row for second. I can't even see him getting second in this race simply because this race is stacked. And he's now established himself 2 for 12 lifetime. He's established himself as a very good horse. Another one over $1 million, but in big races, grade 2, grade 1, he's a purse nibbler.
One of the things I liked about the horse is the distance, I think, favors him. He looked fresh at the end of the Wise Dan. This race is a click longer than that, so maybe that could help. But I like you, I can't get by his recent results, so I'm going to toss him out. All right, last horse in the field, the 8 horse on the outside, Gran Arante, 10-1. Safi Joseph. Paco Lopez is back again. He's in all the big races. 5-year-old horse, won a couple of stake races, but nothing graded. He got routed in the Breeders' Cup Mile in November last year, never a factor in that race. But he is coming off a stakes win in the Soldier's Dancer at Gulfstream. Not much experience, Pete, with just 6 starts, but he has won half of them. He's improving, but how does he fit with these?
So most people would say that he doesn't fit with these. I mean, these were 2 listed stakes or overnight stakes that he just won. I think we talk about Doug O'Neill, that, he's still capable of taking a 20,000 claimer, your horse, and winning the Bing Crosby and going to the Breeders' Cup. The only other trainer, I think, maybe Mike Maker also, that does that as well, is Safi Joseph. Now, this was not a claimer, unheralded from Chile. He did something that's really hard to do at the Santa Anita Winter Meet. He won down the dip, the 6.5 hillside course. And then a few months later, he wins a 1.125 allowance race that was really stacked. That horse named Cabo Spirit. We all know Cabo Spirit. He runs a lot. He's grade 2 placed. He's run in Breeders' Cup races, and that horse ran 3rd in that race because Gran Oriente beat him. Gran Oriente likes to win. And I love those last 2 races. I know it wasn't even graded company, but he pulled away racehorse time on the turf, won by open lanes. Did he win those last 2 by 2 3/4, by a length and a quarter, pulling away? Watch, 7 for 11 on the turf. I'm giving it away. This is my upset special. And if you need more, Paco and Safi, small sample size. They're 2 for 5, 40% when they get together. At Colonial, they're 2 for 3. A lot of things to like, and you'll get every bit of that 10-1.
Yeah, and he just posted a 116, which gives this horse a chance at least to hit the board. Depends how it all plays out once they get out there. But I don't know. I think it's a lot to ask this horse to get home first, but I like it underneath. So it's perfect. It leads us right to our picks, Peter. So go ahead, pull the curtain back. Who do you like?
Again, I'm relying on pace makes race. Layabout will go to the lead, but we think he's pitched a little too high and maybe even off form. So who's going to be laying second and third? Well, I think Gran Oriente might be laying second. We mentioned he comes at it a few months back, the Hillside Turf Course, which is nothing but go as fast as he can. So he's got speed.
Only right-hand turn in North American racing, Pete.
Yes, and you don't want to. A buddy of mine used to say his greatest fantasy was to make love on the Hillside Turf Course. I digress.
Every man's got to have a dream.
Are we back to the backside again?
When did this show spin out?
20 minutes ago?
Wait,
When
did
you
he mean
used the word anal?
It became Love Connection.
Pete, did he mean with someone? Or
Let's hope.
Maybe
Jim.
we don't need that.
Flying solo on the backstretch.
The only problem is he'd need a witness, and we don't know if anyone else would be there.
Security cameras.
So Dresden Row is the other one who will be forwardly placed, and I'm banking on maybe they put him to sleep a little on the lead because you got some killer closers in Burnham Square and Test Score in either really of the Shug McGahee horses, but especially Integration. I just don't think they'll get there in time. I think the pace makes the race, and I'm going for a shocker. Gran Oriente, this horse,
Wow.
he's a stranger danger. His numbers aren't much below these others. He's going to be laying second. He doesn't know who's behind him. He's going to go past Layabout and hold off the one. I like Gran Oriente in a shocker. Maybe you get 12-1.
Wow, and you picked Chip Honcho the other day in the Jim Dandy. I love your weekend. You're just rolling the dice. You go all or nothing for Peter. All right, Tommy, pop up your third camera there and throw a dart at the wall for us, will you please?
Well, Pete just convinced me to take Gran Oriente third. I usually just pick two, but I'm going Gran Oriente third.
Yeah.
Integration second. I love the way that he finished in the Manhattan Stakes because that we just watched, because I make my decisions during this show. And then to win it, because, and I hate when gamblers say things like, well, the quarterback's going to be tired this week. They're guessing. They're making up stories in their head. So I usually just base my picks on facts. But this week, I'm going for the good story. Fort Washington to repeat, the first repeat winner because we showed the John Henry video. So, of course, Fort Washington's going to win. First repeat since 81.
I love that.
That's really poor logic. Yes.
No, Tommy, I like that you go with the history, but you also were completely influenced by the last thing you heard. You're a prisoner of the present. Pete said it, so you parrot it back. And you know who else does that? Every guy who's ever been to the racetrack studies for a week, knows exactly what he's going to do, gets to the window, and then there's a fat guy in front of you with a pork pie hat on, and he peels off a couple of hundreds and picks a horse you've never heard of, and you just go up and bet it. Like you throw all of, and then afterwards you're looking for the guy in the grandstand somewhere. We've all done it. All right, so it's interesting. I don't know why I let Tom go before me because he jinxed my horses every time. Now all of my confidence just goes out the window. All right, so listen, I'm seeing talent, momentum, and value in Test Score at 9-2. It's a great number. It's a great horse. 4 stakes wins, including 2 grade ones. Ran a 126. He was challenged in the Manhattan, and he answered, you got to use him. All right, Dresden Row, 7-2. He's just so consistently in the money, I have to include the horse. And then just to juice the ticket, you need a little sweetener. So here it comes, Tommy. I'm adding last year's winner, Fort Washington
Oh,
at 5 to 1.
beautiful.
So those are my three. I mix them up and I play them all together. Pete will give you the last word here.
It's a great betting race, Jim. It's a great betting race with great history. Wouldn't even shock me if Layabout won, if he ran back to that race in the McKnight, because he will be on the lead. Terrific betting race. This is the coming out party for Gran Oriente. That's my hope. Redemption
you know what's
for
funny?
Paco, everybody always seems to knock.
When I was putting this thing together, we'd already done the Jim Dandy, and I thought, well, that's a pretty good race. And you kept telling me, wait till you see the Arlington lineup. So then I dove into it. I can't tell you how many times in the middle of the night I'm sitting there over my iPad going over this. And I'm like, wow, Pete was right. The professor was right again. I mean, each horse just kept looking better and better. And even the long shots you can make a case for. And to me, that's exactly what makes a good race. You got to make it competitive. And you can go deep on this one. You can go 5-6 horses and make a case for somebody to end up in the winner's circle at the end of it. So that's what I love about this race. It's great history. It's a cool racetrack. You were talking about Colonial Downs. It's going to be a great scene.
One other interesting thing. Look, nobody will deny the best turf horses, which were North American based for a while, no longer. The best turf horses, we all know, are the European turf horses.
Europeans.
And
Irish,
they're coming from Japan. But this race curiously came up with no foreign horses. They are the best, pretty much deterministic's not in the race. The best turf horses racing here. So a good chance for an American turf horse to stamp its ticket to the Breeders' Cup. With this,
was there no Chilean flavor in this? Didn't we have a little Chilean flavor?
But yes, we do in Gran Oriente. But he's been over here now, right. So he's one of ours.
He's Americanized.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's got his visa.
Okay.
He's working on citizenship.
Let's just hope ICE doesn't watch this podcast.
All right, that's going to do it for us. For the Professor Pete Weitzner has gone out on 2 limbs for you. If you like the value plays, you got Chip Honcho and the Jim Dandy and Gran Oriente right here in the Arlington Million. It's at Colonial Downs. It's on Saturday, race 11. It's on the grass. Oh, the beautiful lawns of Virginia. And it's for a cool $1 million. For Catlin, I'm Watson. That's after further review. Good night and good luck. And don't come and blame me for it. Tommy picked Fort Washington and killed it for us. 5 to 1. Oh, my goodness. Thanks, Tom.
Great story.
Fast turf course in the offing. We like that.